Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're doing fantastic well on this very fine Wednesday evening. Obviously we have got Luke and Phil both in the building, so how are you both?
Luke first for change.
Yeah, I'm good, thank you, Dan. I managed to finally get onto the link without any technical issues. Yay.
But you're here, so well done, Miss Explosive Turton. How are you, Mr. Phil?
I am absolutely great, mate. Absolutely buzzing, happy.
Yeah, it was nice to be back down the City Ground last night. Don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I'll be there on Saturday, and then roll on when we face Brentford for the start of another season in the Premier League.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, how would you? I know it's pre-season. I probably know what you're going to say on this, Luke. But how did you feel about it last night? Much better performance.
So, I actually managed to watch the game last night on the feed. So I think we looked good for about 60 minutes. I think it glaringly showed that outside of half 11, all right, discounting the fact that Aina wasn't there, there isn't much else than what we played in the first 11. The players that were coming on didn't really do the same as what was already there. I mean, okay, you're putting on Yates and Sangare for Anderson and Gibbs White, so you're not going to really expect to get exactly the same, but it just shows that we need more creatively if we're going to play that style.
Yeah, definitely. What was your take on last night, Phil?
I thought in the first half, you could see the intensity greater than the other previous pre-season games, and you can see like the stepping up and the momentum. I thought Dan and Doig played really well. I think he looks really promising, and I thought Callum had a better game, and I think a bit say similar to like what Luke's saying. We haven't really got the strength and depth on the bench yet, but we're still 2.5 weeks on, or something like that before the transfer window closes. So I expect us to get more signings in the door, but also as well. Edu was there last night, so we've seen him right in his car coming into the car park. So I think he definitely will be around Nottingham Forest more and helping us get some more quality players to strengthen the side. I mean, I think what Luke was saying was, when you're taking off the likes of Anderson and Morgan Gibbs White, and you're bringing Yatesy and Sangare, and I do like Sangare. I think he's a good quality player, and Yates has been, Mr. Forest as such. We just needed a bit more creativity, because when the changes did happen, we sort of like lost a little bit of ideas. Sort of, we're very short on that part of the team, unfortunately.
Yeah, completely agree. I mean, Ardor GC, he seemed to be a player, so I mean, he played more on the wing because them three seemed to be floating in between each other. Hudson, Gibbs, and Ardor, and they seemed to be floating around. Chris Woodwitz was quite nice to see. I mean, we looked quite promising because 1 minute, it was like Hudson was on the left and he went to the right. It was sort of like they had the freedom to float, which is nice to see.
I mean, to me, I thought that when we played Birmingham, I was surprised that they weren't swapping it over a bit, because they can both play on both sides. I thought Nico Williams had a good game. Say he's coming back from injury, slight injury what he had, and I think at that top, when you've got that five in there with Morgan, Anderson, Callum Hudson-Odoi, even though they spelled his name wrong at the on the scoreboard yesterday. They did. It was Callum Hudson and Doig.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, I took a picture. It's like, oh, I didn't know we got new number 7. Like, but
that kept on throwing me last night. No, we could Hudson the Dory and Nico got new numbers. So I kept on thinking 7 was Nico Williams for some reason.
Yeah. but I think, like I say, in pre-season, sometimes you can have a cracking pre-season, win every game, and then start at the beginning of the season, then you just go lose, and you can see interactions coming on as well. I think Jesus looks going to be a handful. I think he's a quality player in there, and I think we've just got to have a little bit of time to get players settled in a little bit more. I thought as well, big shout out to Matt Sells, because he pulled off some cracking saves yesterday.
He did.
And I like last season at Brighton away, I was fuming. Because that goal, that free kick, what they scored, I was like, no, And then from that moment, he's absolutely been, and he's got his more points on the road and that City ground than what we've lost. And I thought, and I think that's a little bit with Milenkovic and also Murillo in front of him. With that, they trust him. But like I say, last night he pulled off some really good saves.
Yeah, he did. I mean, how was it watching it on the stream? I know you said you watched it on the stream, but how did you find it?
I found, like I said, the first half was pretty much what you'd expect, just without the real finishing touch. I think the end product is probably the one bit that was slightly lacking yesterday. I think probably it didn't help that you were playing David De Gea. That's save pulled off from Dan and Doy in majority of Premier League games. That goes in. I think as well, when you get Olareina back on that right-hand side, that's going to cause utter chaos. Because when you've got Nico, who, by the way, got absolutely clattered last night, that was not a good tackle on watching on the stream. I mean, thanks, Moise Keane. That was absolutely horrific. I mean, how that one wasn't a yellow card, I will never know.
He should have got red for that, Lou. I think if it were a Premier League game, I think he would have been. I think he'd be lucky to stay on the pitch for that.
Dan and Doy looked quick. I think there's going to be a lot of confusion as to which side he's going to play on, because he started on the right and ended up on the left, cutting in off the left for that shot. So he can play all over. I think as well, that back four probably wasn't as bad as the previous ones we'd selected that was 4 centre-backs. I think Jair can play right back if you are aware of the fact he's just not going to be an Olareina. Like, if he's just going to defend, then totally fine. If you're prepared to then overload that with, say, 2 midfielders instead, then I think it still can work if we have to do that. I mean, I would still be looking at getting another fullback in before the season starts, just so it takes a little bit of pressure off both sides. But for me, I think it is about squad depth now, because I don't know whether Nuno's planning on going with a Gibbs, White, Anderson, Jesus midfield. I say midfield, it was kind of 4-4-2, but Jesus was the deeper of the 2 strikers. But if he's going to do that, then really you're going to then want another creative player to switch on, because really you'd want that anyway in your midfield.
Yeah.
But even more so if you're just relying on those two with Jesus just in front. Putting Yates and Sangare on at the same time might work if you're 2-3-0 up, but if you're only 1-0 up and you're trying to still go for goals, that's not very creative.
No.
Yeah, completely agree. I was going to get on transfers
Yeah.
to refer, because I know there have been quite a bit of funny just before we came on live. I know we were saying about Omar Hutchinson and that. And obviously, Jota Silva been inquired by Sporting as well now. So it seems like transfers needs hotting up. Rob said about he would go to the back three, give Gibbs White and Anderson space to play. I mean, you can tell Gibbs White, Nuno is wanting to stick to this 4-4-2, 4-2-3-1, don't you think?
The thing is, if you're going to play with a back three, then for me, you'd have made wing backs your priority signings in the window.
Mm-hmm.
You'd not be leaving it this late to get them in. You'd have gone for them straight away. Now, does anybody actually know how to pronounce this fullback that we've been linked with that begins with T? Because
Jackson is first name, so
Tushuana?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Is that the best we're gonna get with this? I mean, I've seen it 3 to 4 times after being on streams. I've looked at it, I've gone, it's sort of like that. And then 2 days later I've gone, that guy beginning with T, because but he apparently can play as a wing back.
Either side.
Yeah.
And either side. I think, to be honest as well, what I'm noticing with not just us but a lot of clubs is they are aware of what the deal total is probably going to have to be, but they're going considerably lower. They're not just going lower; they're going considerably lower, and you just know it's going to get instantly rejected. You know it's going to get instantly rejected. Like if we're wanting players, okay, and obviously just talking from an us point of view here, if we're wanting players that badly, we're going to have to get closer to what they're asking for.
Yeah.
Not saying go for exactly what they want, because you're always going to get negotiations to try and get it slightly lower. But that Amari Hutchinson one, that bid was 35 million, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Well, let me provide some context. Brentford, before the release clause expired, bidded 32.
Yes,
I think it was.
Yeah.
And the release clause, I believe at the time, was 35. And they turned it down because they wanted more. So if you read the room, if they're wanting more than what that release clause was, it's now expired. Why were you going in with a bid that was exactly the release clause?
I don't know. Maybe that might think that we're getting closer towards the end of the transfer window, Lou, and maybe that they thought that while we're testing more water on there, we might have another bid. It might be 35 with other add-ons. I think it'd be a good asset to the team.
I would say that Amari Hutchinson is probably, with add-ons, 38 tops. With a player, with what we could turn him into, and this is the thing, right? You've got to think, what could we do with him going forward? And you look at what we've done with Gibbs White and Anderson. They are now double what we signed them for.
Yeah.
At least.
I think with it as well, when you have a look at it, also again depends how the transfer is structured, because Brentford might have offered that, but might have just not done it in stage payments. we might have offered the same, or Ipswich may want or majority of the money up in one. So there's a lot of different aspects in transfer these days, isn't it? The structure of the deal, how the payments get made, and also with it as well, because Ipswich have got the parachute payments as well. So there's, sometimes that's there to help teams get relegated, and maybe that the thing that because Delap went for quite a cheap value for his clause what he had when he went to Chelsea. Maybe that they're worried about losing too many players.
I get that, but by the same token, if you're gonna want to get deals done, then you're gonna have to be prepared to start going towards what teams are actually looking for players, or you move on, or you move on to a different target pretty quickly. You can't.
I mean, that might be the first tested one, and they might say that, and then we might offer.
What?
I know, 30. We might offer say 38 plus. Or we could do 35 and 10 million on, depending on international appearances, what we do in the league. So it might be the first one to go for, and then build up on that.
I think the thing that's kind of with me with this is the fact that we spend so much time on one specific deal that we're kind of now in this position where, all right, we've seen at least 4 names come out recently. I mean, yesterday from Florian Plettenberg, it was Mads Bidstrup.
Yeah.
Again, not quite sure on exactly what type of player he is, but.
Well, do you think that's a replacement in case, like the rumours are, if we get Douglas Luiz, it looks like they're looking for Sangare? It'd be shame for me to see Sangare go, because I think that in pre-season and at the back end of last season, it was quality. But I think looking at the formation and how we're doing, where do you fit him in? That's the thing.
My thing with Sangare, okay, is he's a great player on the ball, but players can run past him. And I think the way we're going to play, we're going to want it to be a bit more energetic, if you will. And I think
like when Dominguez comes back from injury.
Yeah, but I think we've got to almost have the depth off the bench. And okay, if you're going for an Anderson Gibbs White midfield, which I'm still a little bit dubious about whether he's actually going to do that in the Premier League or not. I mean, it does leave you very open in midfield, playing that way. I think you do need a slightly more defensive player alongside an Anderson and maybe drop a striker. But who knows? Nuno very rarely gets things wrong at this point.
Can I just say one thing, Luke, before you carry on, which is, like I said this to my lad yesterday, just say, for instance, the starting 11, because of injuries, like it was starting 11 at Brentford. If we did get a Douglas Luiz, who would you drop?
For me, and it's purely for the fact of adapting to the Premier League, I'd probably leave Jesus on the bench, shove Gibbs White further forward, and just kind of exchange Jesus and Wood around later in the game, because it gives you that option of mobility later in the game against a tiring defence. And it then also gives him a bit of a drip effect into the Premier League and not just throwing him in straight away and going, here's this with a very, very kind of attack-minded midfield. I think it's kind of what I was going to say. If you're going to have those two in the midfield, Gibbs White and Anderson, it may work for games away at, say, Burnley, for example, where you're wanting to go out full tilt to win the game, to basically take it to the sides. My worry is if you're going up against, say, Liverpool,
Man City, Chelsea, Arsenal.
For example, I personally would not feel comfortable with knowing how Forest are going into that sort of game with midfield two of Gibbs, White, and Anderson, knowing that you've not got anybody to really win the ball back. I think you're a ball winner, a ball carrier, and then your creative number 10 in those games. And that's where, yes, Douglas Luiz would be a great fit in that sense. I also think that if we can get another decent option in there, so we're not having to rush Dominguez back, it's better to have one extra than having one less and having to push a player through a recovery and causing him more damage later. I mean, obviously, every central midfielder you sign that's better shoves Yates further and further down the pecking order.
It does,
But again, it still wouldn't surprise me if the first game of the season he starts Yates if we don't get Douglas Luiz in quick enough. I mean, it's all up in the air to looking at what he thinks is going to be the best way to get an early 3 points. And I don't think you can read too much into what he's selecting in pre-season because you don't know in 2 weeks' time who's going to actually be here, what's going to have got done. I mean, you usually say the last pre-season game is usually what you're going to start with. That I heavily doubt that because we've still got so many deals up in the air that you could go and get a Douglas Luiz in on loan, at which point you're throwing him straight into the side. I mean, you're not going to bring Douglas Luiz in to sit on the bench.
No.
You might you might do throughout the season when you're rotating players around because of the amount of games you've got. But for Brentford, if you're bringing him in, he's going to start.
I mean, there's going to be players who are going to go out the door anyway. You know, it's very much like Jota Silva. It's very much like a lot of people were saying, like after the game yesterday, he looked quite emotional. Maybe that may be his last game. Could be that. And when you see the likes of his bidding for the likes of Omar Riches, if we did get him, that would be more of a stronger wingers kind of creative players on there, because also as well Jesus can play on the wing, can't he? Depending if they play three up front or like the three up front. So
I have been a massive fan of Amari Hutchinson. I think he can score some great goals from around the edge of the box. I see him more as a number 10 than a wide player. And again, I think that's a brilliant option to have for us, I think, as a squad player. I don't think he starts every game, but as a squad player that rotates around, so say, for example, you're playing, I don't know, for argument's sake, a team in September. I'm thinking that we stay in Europa League now, by the way. So for argument's sake, you play an opponent in the Premier League, then you play Europe in midweek, and then you go back to Premier League again.
Yes.
You're probably then going to want to change around your number 10 for one of those two Premier League games.
Yeah, Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Because
you're
you're
going to have
gonna-
to, aren't you? Because amount of games you're going to play, and with like what it's like in the Premier League and the pitches, you're not going to be able to know. You know, goalkeeper maybe, but the outside 10 players apart from the goalkeeper are going to struggle playing week in, week out with the demands of the Premier League. So the squad in depth is going to be vital for us to you know, because you know, not only that we've got Europe, but you know, there's the cup games, isn't there? The FA Cup games, there's the League Cup games, Premier League games. So and you know, you can see that again with the it's a quality of depth. What we're doing now, we're in that transition, aren't we? Because you know, we're not the only club who's struggling to get players. Nobody's going to Newcastle. No, struggling. Newcastle, you know, for how much money they've got, they are struggling to get anybody in through the door. Realistically, you know, one thing which I think as well, which is not really been it's out there about is getting Angus Gunn as a reserve goalkeeper, second goalkeeper, but he's a homegrown one as well, so that will help. So you could see him playing some of the, you know, not in the Premier League, but some of the cup competitions. But that to me leaves the door open to see what actually is going to happen to Carlos Miguel.
Yeah.
As well, you know, I think with it, I think time's up for Omar Richards on ourselves. Sorry, you know what I mean. So there's some players who are going to definitely go on there. You know what I mean, from the squad.
I really don't understand this Omar Richards thing. Like, how have we gone from thinking he's a player to then all of a sudden just not even using it? Like,
well, yeah,
you
well,
know,
the injuries
you know,
didn't help, though, did he? But
but
you
you
know,
you know, if we're gonna let's look at this realistically, right? If we are gonna get rid of Omar Richards, we cannot do that until we have got in a backup for the left hand side.
Totally agree. Yeah, totally agree.
Because otherwise, I was a very big firm belief now. If you've got a player that can play there in your squad, right?
Yeah.
You only get rid of them if you've got somebody else lined up to take that place.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, if you sell him, you're going to leave yourself short.
Absolutely, I totally agree.
And,
I totally agree.
And to me, right, as well, I would personally, in these past two friendlies, that have played Nico on the right and I'd have played Richards on the left. It's not what you want to. It's not what you want to do in the season, but for me, game time wise, building a bit more of a relationship up, playing two fullbacks that could give you what you want to play style wise, to me, it was a no brainer.
Yeah, but I think Nuno likes Cunha. I think he likes him.
Yeah.
You could see that.
I like Cunha.
Yeah,
I like Cunha, but not out as a fullback.
I mean, the only way you could do that is put someone like Murillo out as fullback and him in. But then you're breaking that really great partnership, aren't you?
You just simply do it in pre-season where you pick Nico and Richards at fullback, Milenkovic, Murillo, and then the next half you put Cunha on.
The problem is, I think that he's wanting to if he's not fit, then Cunha is going. I think he's going to be the next one to play, isn't he? You know, if Oleina is not fit and he's not 100% fit, and if he's, you know, if he's not ready for the start of the season, Cunha is going to play his position. If we don't get anybody, that's what I think.
Well, you see, I just think that if you got a fullback there, then you tweak the system until you get somebody in, because what you don't want to happen, right, is say for example you struggle to get in a left full back, right, and you have got Nico that can play right side, you've got Ola that can play right side, you're playing Jair Cunha at right back, but if you say get an injury, you've not brought a left back in, you've got to then throw Omar Richards into a game, and he's not up to scratch because you've not used him in pre-season, you could potentially get another injury then.
Yeah, like, I mean, he did play against Birmingham. He came on, he played pretty well in Birmingham. Played Chesterfield, didn't he? He didn't get on the tour against Monaco, did he?
Nah.
No, he didn't. So, and he played in Portugal, didn't he? So he's had minutes, Luke, on the pitch. He has had minutes, but obviously he didn't come on yesterday, as such, So I'm just, and he's got he'll be out of contract at the end of the season as well, won't he? So, depending if we get the Jackson beginning with T defender, not Nicholas Jackson.
I'm gonna find this guy. I want to know what the pronunciation of this guy is.
Yeah. T begins with T anyway. So, but I mean, I think with it, when every team, you're on a journey, aren't you? And with it, we're looking for better quality of players in a smaller pond of fish, if you know what I mean, because you have that transition. And again, like we said the other day, this season, when Alanga was going, it looked like Morgan was going. It looked like, gee, we're like self-destruct button, bang. We're like, we are losing quality players, but keeping like new contracts, like I said before, for Williams, like Morgan, and keeping a really good nucleus. And I think now, that Edu's more involved in, and also our owner's been more involved to try and get things moving because I think he's frustrated that we ain't got players in. But again, it's difficult because it's like Ramsey, it looked like was after McAtee kind of thing. I think them kind of deals are going to go right to the wire. Probably last day of transfer.
Deadline day.
That's what I think.
I have said that I have said countless times that I think that the deals that will be long lasting are the ones that are sort of on the edge of teams that are just looking for what they can get out of it. Now, I've researched this Jackson guy. Jackson Tachau. Because it's kind of, it might be Chow, because you don't know whether the first T is a silent T, so it might be Chow.
Yeah.
But I think for argument's sake, I'm just going to call him Jackson.
Yeah, same as. Same as.
Until he comes in and gets a number, and I'm going to say the number something for us.
Yeah. I mean, with it, when you have a look at some of the players, what have been rumoured around, there's not been a lot of movement for people like Harvey Elliott, like McAtee, like Ramsey.
They reckon that Harvey Elliott's going to Germany. As the replacement. Xavi Simons goes over to Chelsea. Harvey Elliott's going to be his replacement over there. That's what I've been reading.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, like, about at the moment, it's like guarantee way beyond here on transfer deadline, and it'd be twice. You can see, because with it, I mean, when you have a look at the deal what Man City want for McAtee, nobody's going in for him at the moment, are they?
No.
Do you know what I mean? Because nobody has, because I think rightly so, because we've got to get the deal right for ourselves as well, and I do think like what we all said, getting closer to the end of the deadline day, something's going to happen. And with it, you got to think of two places. Where did they come? And also for the what positions you were doing. Yes, we can see things moving, as in with the formation, the style of play, what we're doing. Which, when you think of all last season, like what style we had, to then having the ball, keeping the ball, more possession, more controlling, it is going to take a bit of. It is work in progress, isn't it? And that's what pre-season are for. I'm not disappointed. A lot of people are saying, "Oh yeah, we've only scored one goal." In pre-season, but Torres, Amada Torres news has really dropped off a cliff as well, hasn't it? You know what I mean?
That one, I think, is heavily dependent on if Fulham manage to get Nelson and Sterling. Because they're not going to want to let go of a winger before they've got their replacement in.
Yeah.
You know how you're talking about this goal in pre-season? And somebody enlightened me as to who that was against, because I don't even remember a scoring.
Fulham, Chris Wood, Fulham in Portugal.
Oh, it was the one time I wasn't actually paying that much attention because I was at a barbecue.
Yeah, Chris Wood. But like I say, I mean, it's like domino effect, isn't it? One key player goes, and then everything goes. What we need is you need something. What's happening with Newcastle, and when you have a look at them transfers, something will occur, and this time, and at the end of the day, there's a lot more involved in transfers. It's not like when Brian Clough was there, you say, "Young man, come here, you all sign for us, sign your name here," and that's all gone into it. There's so many people involved in there. There's agents, there's family, there's parents, there's everything involved. And I mean, Ndoye, that's really one thing, we're like, is he coming? Is he not coming? Is he coming? Is he not coming? How long that took, before he joined, so
that was my point, I think about half an hour ago, that I think now, because there's a bit more coming out, I'm a bit more confident around us working on multiple deals. But the way we've done it at the start is we were very much one player.
Yeah,
one player. And my point is, we need to start doing it where we have a few that are more or less at done stage at the same time, because it was starting to look a little bit like, okay, we're going at snail's pace with handbrake on.
With it, there's two things on that. One is, like, as you know, you got to try and see, like, what I mean. It's difficult because you need, like, would a player going to come? Because last time what we've done, I'd rather be in our position than Newcastle position. Like, you'd like link with everybody and no one's going, as such. And I'd rather is work how we are. And yes, it is frustrating. But I think we've had a lot of good positives in this transfer window.
Oh yeah, I'm not disputing the fact that there's not been positives, and I'm happy with the fact that the amount of new contracts we've got done, and
same here.
And the fact that we've addressed the striker issue that we had last year, the fact that we've got in, I think, an upgrade on Alanga. We've found, I think, the next one up for even less money than before. But I think my thing is, going into the season, I'd like us to have at least two more done before the start of the season actually kicks off. And I think it'd be nice to know that a couple are very close within the next week.
The problem is, Luke, is like if you're too open, you're more chance of.
Oh no, I'm not saying now. I'm not saying they have to do it now. What I'm saying is that you want the deal to be that progressed that they can put it out.
Yeah.
That's,
I think they
that's
will.
what I'm saying.
I think they will. I think with it as well, when you've got to think of like what's happening around. I mean, a lot like Newcastle after Ross Wilson. Do you know what I mean? And I think, you know, Rangers fans were saying that load of rubbish, but he's been really a really good asset to the club. You know, and then you've got that kind of. And also, I think what has not helped, and it isn't helping us as a club, is not knowing what European competition we're in. Because when you don't know that, it's difficult to attract that kind of play. Do you want to be in what you know? Because the finances are massive. Like we said the other day, it's huge. It's like the gap is like being in a competition like, I don't know, League One, League Two competition to being in the Premier League. It's that much of a massive gap from the competitions. You know, realistically, you think, you know, yes, it's good for the teams if they're in the Conference League to play teams like Nottingham Forest or good quality teams. But realistically, not many teams make any money being in the Conference League. In fact, it costs clubs money. Because when you have a look at, you know, the teams in there, look how difficult it's going to be to get to away games. I mean, some grounds only hold 12,000. You know, some teams will only have 500 away fans, and we're in the middle. They're in the middle of nowhere. How do you get there? And the finances, until that's sorted, I think with it that when the actual case is like this is what it is, I think you see a lot more movement. And if we are, you know, which is, you know, if we are not in the Conference League, you could see because that is extra money where you know, right? And I think then you can see players like Ramsey, like McAtee wanting to like be in that competition because, you know, and I think you see a stronger pool of more quality players coming.
So Monday then, when the decision comes out, from Monday to the following Sunday, we'll be getting like quick feet smoke coming out of the City ground then with the amount of quick deals they're going to have to get done.
I think so, Luke. The end of the day, you don't know where you're going to be in, and as a club, yes, we're not, you know, we're not no worries about PSR or anything like that. But I mean, you see it straight away. Like if we're not in the Conference League, you get what is it? It's a bit like Champions League, isn't it? You get 8 like qualify 8 games, don't you? Kind of thing. You get more games in. So you think that 8 games at the City ground, all sold out, probably even if it's £50 a ticket, £100, you know, whatever it is, it's a lot more money being in the straight competition like the Conference League, like it used to be, like the European Cup when we got our 2 stars, you know, on our shirts, you know. So the finances are huge, you know. They reckon it's what minimum £43 million difference plus gates receipts and depending how long. So you're guaranteed that 8 games at home. You know, how much do you reckon we make per home game? You know, in
well, is it not 8 group games, so it's 4 home, 4 away?
Yeah. But it's still 8 games. You know, you still get finance receipts from away games. Yeah, obviously not as much, but 4 games, depending who we play. You know, and I know, getting a ticket if we are in that league, in that competition, is going to be difficult. You know what it's like. I mean, we're lucky with season card holders now, but you know, and I know, Luke, you know, and you, Dan, how, you know, how what demand is for games, and and I just think that when you look at that, that is extra money. So realistically, in that competition, that competition could be worth at least £60 million extra, coming into the club. And it's vital, because that's the way where you can then start chipping away at competing. I mean, look at Man United, no cup competition, how much money they spent.
Quite a lot.
Liverpool, how much money they spent in teams like that. But, I really do think is when that decision is said, and the only thing I will say as well is that it's nothing to do with this. Crystal Palace has put us in there and Leon in there. I think when that decision is made, it's going to be a way where, I really do think that you will see like bang, bang, bang. I think you see quick signings. You will. That's what I really do, Luke and Dan. I really think that we will get some players in where right. And I also think there's going to be a curveball somewhere where no one's like expecting it. And I can feel that coming to us, like thinking, wow, because I still think we will need, and I don't think the players like Douglas Luiz is the statement signing. If do you know what I mean? I think there's going to be somebody.
Trust me, it's a transfer window involving Nottingham Forest. I'm expecting a surprise incoming. Like I often say to my granddad when we start talking about transfers, just wait for the unknown quantity to come, because it's going to be there. It really is going to be there, and I still don't think we've seen it as of yet.
That was me, sorry.
I was going to say, sure, that's not my computer. I've got it on mute.
No, mine. I didn't realise I had a tab open, and I've just closed it. Sorry about that. But that's the beauty about being live on on the stream, Luke, as well. So, but like I say, I mean, I'm a lot more confident where we are now than I was a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Because, and I really was, because I thought that if Morgan goes, losing Alanga, I can see why. I think Ndoye will be, we're missing the pace of Alanga, but I think that Ndoye is a better dribbler and more technical minded player. And I do, like I say, I do think that what's holding us up is not knowing what competition win. And it's proven that, it's, we're good, for any new player, up and coming player or player, we're a really good project.
I think, to be honest, we looked probably the best we've looked in pre-season last night. From what I've heard, last night seemed to be the intensity seemed to be right up there, and the amount of connectivity that those players at the top of the pitch had together was brilliant. I thought, from watching the first half. So yeah, I mean, I'm confident that once we get deals done, we'll be in a decent position. It's just getting the deals done, and hearing what competition we're going to be in. I mean, to be honest with you, it's a little bit of a joke that it's taken to the 11th of August to actually confirm what competition we're going to be in.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is, because with it, I mean, depending where you are, I mean, I think the first conference games are what, 28th, 29th of August, I think.
No, they first, it's between the.
Yes, yeah, it is. Yeah. So
you know the Palace and the West Ham games where they've got moved.
Yes.
That's why they were moved for Europe.
Well,
So
we might have been doing move because do a favour to Palace. You know,
Wow.
and no disrespect, but everyone wants to see Nottingham Forest on TV, don't we? So
Yeah.
you know, I think there's only oh god, there's only one team, isn't there? Well, there's only one game that we're not on live, isn't it? Who came up? Burnley. Sorry.
yeah,
It's only Burnley that we're not live on TV. Into every game we're on either TNT or Sky or whatever. So, well, you know, it's going to be interesting when we do go to Palace. But like I say, I mean, you know, looking what we've done so far. Brilliant that we've got a Scotland international goalkeeper as a backup, because they're hard to the quality of that kind of keeper is hard to get to. Like I say, I think that will then free up Carlos Miguel. I don't think he's going back to Brazil because they Botafogo get signing Neto, aren't they? So that one. So I can't see him going back to Brazil. So I think there's, you know, I'll probably, you know, depending on the contract, would send them out on loan, maybe if we can't get rid, because goalkeepers do mature as a older goalkeeper.
I mean, I don't want to go on for too much longer about different players, but is there not a realm of possibility that we just have three keepers? Like, I mean, I know the talk is that they're wanting him to find a new club, but we have operated with three goalkeepers for the last 3 seasons. So it's not. I don't think it's under the bounds of possibility that you do have 3 keepers. But anyway, I think my closing statement would be, for Palace away, the whole away Forest fan base should take Outlook posters of the emblem.
Yeah.
I tell you what, I might do that because me and lads going.
Get an Outlook logo printed. Like,
yeah, we read our emails. We read our emails. We read our emails. We read our emails. Lou, that's a great idea. That is.
You heard it on the last stream. You ever watching it? That is a great idea.
It is. I like that idea. Anyone going to Palace, print out on an A4 piece of paper the Microsoft Outlook email logo. In fact, I'm going to have a look and see if we can get one.
I mean, how do you guys feel about Jota Silva? I know it's been reported tonight about Sporting CP putting in an inquiry about him. I mean, would you keep Jota around for the cup games? I certainly would do.
To be honest with you, if we're going after the improvements that we're going after, then I can't see him getting many games anyway. If we're looking at trying to get Adama Traore in, Amari Hutchinson in, and then still potentially even looking at a McAtee or a Ramsey, I genuinely cannot see why you'd then keep Jota Silva. I mean, to be honest, he was okay for the games that he played last season. I think, but again, it's that word, isn't it? Okay. We don't really want players that are okay now.
I thought Sosa was better, to be honest.
Yeah, Sosa for me, had direct running speed, and I thought that my view on it was, if he was younger, Sosa, I think we'd have probably have kept him, because I think you'd have been able to mould him into a bit more. I think because he was 24, I think they thought, well, really, it's going to use a space that could go to a better player. And look, if we end the window with two decent backup options, with Ndoye and Hudson-Odoi either side, then it proves the correct decision. I mean, I'll probably look at the squad after the window's finished, and hopefully you've then looked at it and thought, well, we've ticked the boxes.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I know you spoke about the Sangare and the Douglas Luiz thing already, so I mean, that one came around today. But yeah, it just seems like that a lot of things, like you said, I know you said on Sunday as well, things will start to happen. And you said it tonight, that things will start to happen now a lot more than when we know where we are, and that's I completely agree with you on everything like you two said tonight. I mean, they've been absolutely spot on with everything. I mean, and you even spoke about obviously Angus Dunn come in. Josh Powell, obviously he's gone out on loan. Dale Taylor's looking like he's gonna leave. So it seems like that things will be starting to happen inside and out. I mean, I probably am expecting a couple of the B teams to go out on loan anyway.
Yeah, I do. I mean, with it, I mean, as all clubs, if we can get £1 million for Dale Taylor, that's good business, that is, because we've had loan fees for him. And, if he does go, all the best for him, but as you know, when you go up the levels and you go up, you need, unfortunately, the level of players, what needed, and the quality go up, as we see in the Premier League, because, I do like him, but I don't think he's a Premier League player yet. Maybe in 3-4 years' time, but sometimes as a player, you've got to go backwards to come back to go forward. And I think sometimes it's like maybe that, he did pretty well at Wigan, didn't he? Kind of thing. So maybe he's found that level on there, which, but all the best to him. Like Josh Powell, I think he'd be a good loan signing. I think Jimmy Sinclair, I'd like to keep him around, and that's another one as well, Luke. In the pre-season before like yesterday's game, to me is like one of them. I thought he played really well, so he might do really well as a loan for somebody, because it's a massive step up all the time, isn't he?
I think he might be one that we use in the cup, because you know how we dropped Zach Abbott in, and we dropped
Moreira, De Silva.
Yeah, not him, but not him. I wasn't thinking of him. The guy was at Lincoln has now gone to Mansfield.
Joe Gardner.
Oh, Gardner. Yeah.
Like we dropped them in I think it's a Carabao Cup that we dropped them in. I think they'll do the same thing with Sinclair. I think you'll see him in the first couple of rounds of the Carabao Cup, and then see what comes of it from there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. How can people find you both on the socials?
For me, on X, I think I'm U2 Fans Talk, because I do a lot with the U2 community. So I've done that for a lot of times. Facebook, that's my name. So I just like being involved in supporting great channels like yours, Dan, and helping Luke out. I think it's good. You know, it's good to be involved in helping as much as I can.
I know you're on TikTok as well, Luke, as Turton Talks Football.
Yeah, so I'm mainly now found on TikTok, as Dan says, Turton Talks Football. I'm going to do a bit more of a plug on this tonight because I'm a bit more awake. If you are also looking to do a creating thing anywhere, I'm also a creator manager. So if you drop a comment on this video if you're interested in that, just put something like interested in the TikTok thing, and I will give you the details of how you can do that.
I'm also on it as well, just for you guys. Yeah.
Yes, Dan is one of my creators.
Wicked.
So
I want to do it.
So yeah, I am mainly based on TikTok now.
I've got something for you, Luke, if you can just bear with me about a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
That's all right, my dad.
But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. As per usual, so do hit the guys up on the platforms. Do get us to 4K on YouTube and check out like the videos and all that on whatever platform you're watching. Subscribe, get us to 4K if you can on YouTube. But yeah, thanks for watching. Thank you for coming on, guys. As per usual.
No worries.
So I'll catch you all later.